Hi, everybody. This is Tami Brunk, Earth Sky Woman, beaming into you on Monday, oh my gosh, it's 4th, September 4th. And I'm here today to give a September 2023 astrology oracle. So, just to begin by saying that this is the third time I have attempted to do this live. So I'm hoping that the sound is working. If anybody is on, if you can put in the chat, let me know the sound is working because yesterday there were issues. So I'm hoping it's good today. Um, okay, I'm just going to keep going. So let's see. All right. So September 2023, it is a month that just comes in with 7 retrogrades, 7 planets in retrograde. So September 1st, that was what was going on when we first started the month. And now, as of yesterday, last night, Sunday, September 3rd, we had Venus stationing direct. And then this morning, I guess it's about 8 o'clock where I'm at on Mountain Time in New Mexico, we had we had Jupiter stationing retrograde. So we had this whole switch off, right? So once again, we have 7 planets stationed retrograde, but the planet that everybody's been kind of tuning into right now and for the last several months has been Venus. It's been Venus, Venus, Venus all the time, Venus, because she's retrograde. And so she has just moved direct and she's bright and high in the morning sky. I rhymed. She is, if you go out, and I'm saying this all the time, I'm just realizing I have to say it to people all the time because to me it seems so obvious. Just like, haven't you gone out and seen her yet? But then I realize it's still confusing for people to understand where, how to see her. And granted, if you're in a big city and you can't see sunrise, that it will be hard to see her. But she should be visible to most of us if you can have any kind. She's pretty high up already. So go out an hour before sunrise or half an hour before sunrise. She'll be even higher, but the sky will be lighter and you can see her. And then this morning, this is Monday, and also Tuesday morning, you'll see Jupiter and the moon very close to one another. And that's also amazing because Jupiter and Venus are approaching a square. So you'll get to feel what that's like to experience a square in the sky. It's a 90-degree angle between one planet and another. So right now, if you go out there, you'll see Jupiter close to the top of the sky. And when you have a planet that's close to the top of the sky, that's also something where you can kind of, you get the sense, you can feel like you're actually, you can take the medicine of that planet in through your crown chakra. And then you can take the medicine from Venus in through your heart because she's right in front of you, right? So right now, because those 2 planets are very close to the Earth because they're both stationing direct and retrograde, then we can experience this coming into our system of this beautiful medicine of the Venus mysteries and Leo. So Venus has to do with the medicine of the heart, of love, of the feminine in her highest. And then she's in the sign of Leo, which also, when Leo is at its healthiest, we are very generous, we shine, we fully express who we are in the world without fear, we offer our gifts, we are leaning forward into life with joy, with creativity, with a sense of play, with our inner child, our inner light just illuminating and just blessing everyone around us. So that's the highest expression of Leo Venus. And we're just creating, and we're just in the now. We're just like moving forward in our lives with so much joy and so much presence and beauty. And then you have Jupiter at the top of the sky, and Jupiter is in the sign of Taurus. So Jupiter is this planet that just expands whatever it touches, and it has to do with spiritual knowing, and it's kind of the planet that helps us to expand and bring into a greater spiritual illumination. It helps us to feel into the higher expression of something, the more visionary aspect of whatever it's touching. And it's in the sign of Taurus. So Jupiter is really bringing into our consciousness. And when we have Jupiter streaming down that medicine through the crown, it's the more exalted or the highest kind of experience of being in the body. It's like, how do we bring spirit down into the body? How do we experience this being in a physical form as just this really beautiful experience? I think this is what we're wanting, as human beings at this point, is we want to understand how to have our spirit live fully in our body, animate our body, bring alive every cell in the body. I think of it, and I say it sometimes also with Taurus and with Scorpio, these two signs that have to do with the life force, energy, the prana or the chulel, if you're Mayan, lighting up the bringing the aliveness into this physical temple, this body. So Jupiter can help us do that, but it does it through, moving down through the crown chakra. So from the top of the body down through the body, you can imagine this experience of every cell getting turned on, all the DNA just like turning on, getting lit up. So you're going to see Jupiter and Venus in this position here now for a while. So go out and see them if you can, if you're able. I so hope, I would love to live in a world where everybody would be able to do this. Luckily, everyone can at least see the full moon, but hopefully those of you listening can, you can see these beautiful planets. And we will have Venus squaring Jupiter by the 16th. So they're not exactly square, but they're not too far away yet at this point. And when the planets are stationing direct or retrograde, they're going really slow. They're moving really slowly in the sky. Okay, so that's the morning sky and what you see there. Now, if you go out in the evening, which I would highly recommend, and if you have binoculars or you you have good vision, or you have glasses like me so you can see better at a distance, um, then look for Mars, because Mars is also in a very sacred moment in his journey, because he is fairly close to the horizon right now. He's in the sign of Libra for the rest of the month. So the sacred masculine, this principle that is all about action and this ignition point and this making things happen and taking the feminine vision and higher, uh, the feminine that can sometimes be all over the place, the masculine also can help it to construct and bring it into a form that's usable, that's practical, that's tangible. That's one way to see the masculine. There are many ways, right? This is not about sex or gender, it's about a spiritual principle. So Mars often represents the masculine, and he's in Libra. So one of the ways we can feel and sense this is that this is the relational masculine. So while the goddess in Leo, the goddess in Leo, so the you could say the feminine is here just really fully shining, expressing herself, bringing her love fully into the world. Just like, this is me. I am unapologetically pouring my life, my light, my essence into the world in a way that blesses everyone, and that also really in a way that feels really beautiful and nourishing to me. And then you have the masculine, Mars, which is in the sign of Libra, and he's not very strong. You can't see him very well right now because he's actually preparing for his own initiatory journey in the beams of the sun. So we're not going to see him as of around the end of September for let's see, October, November, December, over 3.5 months. The sacred masculine is going to be doing his deeper work. He's going to be doing his own in retreat, doing the deeper layers of healing and self self meeting. And so the masculine is actually doing his underworld death birth dance before Venus, the goddess, does that in the spring. So he's preparing himself for that right now. He's in Libra, so he's the relational masculine who is, in a sense, softened. He's the peacemaker. And so there's something about the masculine inside each of us right now that is seeking right relationship, that's seeking a sense of peace within our internal ecosystem. So many of us also are seeking peace within ourselves, first of all, first and foremost. And many of us are also in a place of deeply longing for that way of peacemaking between the genders and between people of different races or different economic realities or whatever those differences are, we're seeking that peace right now, that experience of harmony, of peace inside of our hearts. So there's that theme as well that the masculine is holding for us. And interesting that that's what he's doing before he enters the underworld. So what's happening this month that's really some of the really exciting themes are, again, that we have Mercury retrograde right now, right? That's one of the big retrogrades that is that's active, and that is going to be Mercury is going to be retrograde until the 16th. And when Mercury stations direct, when Mercury finishes um its retrograde cycle and stations direct, once again, it's quite close to the Earth, and you can begin to see Mercury as morning star. So that can also be seen as a time of birthing and beginning a new cycle. But right now, Mercury is in retrograde in the sign of Virgo. And so again, the sign of Virgo has a lot of these qualities of refinement and a kind of impeccability and really attuning to the details and precision and bringing great awareness and great discernment into the way that a person does things. And so this is a very powerful time with Mercury in Virgo retrograde, and also even with these all the retrograde energies that are still continuing, which again can kind of put us more into a reflective mode. Excuse me, I'm not sure what's going on with my computer right now. Um, so, okay, yeah, still there. All right. So we have this opportunity, this invitation with Mercury in Virgo and also with the Sun in Virgo to to drop into the physical body. First of all, these are earth signs, and even to tune our mind into Gaia, into earth consciousness, and to slow down our pace such that we are really paying attention to the physical material in some way, that we're really, it could be as simple as, when you wash your dishes, or when you are going about your day with your rituals, with your rhythms, that you just make a decision, make a choice to be really fully present with what you're doing, and to bring as much I want to say the word precision, that precision is actually a very important quality that we all need to cultivate. Some of us are more naturally precise than others. I am much more of a Neptunian, a very fiery person. So my tendency is not towards precision. And I honor my own natural and unique gifts and skills. And at the same time, I know that for me, precision is something I'm always going to be working on. So this is a good time to practice that, a good time to look at the nuts and the bolts of your life, how you navigate your daily life, what kinds of foods you're eating, now how you're moving your body, and to refine that. And I think that in gentle ways, in small ways that build up, not some big, like massive overhaul. It's not that energy. It's more of a paying attention moment by moment and making adjustments and recalibrating. That's a bit more of a Virgo way. Virgo's not this big, jerky, like trying to do everything at once. There's more of there's presence. There's presence to it. And the way that a Virgo expresses love, and for anyone who's been lucky enough to be really loved by a Virgo person, Virgo loves through paying attention to detail and tending to detail. So if a Virgo person will pay attention to what you love and what you enjoy, and they will offer those things to you often. Um, especially if there's Libra thrown in there as well. We have this Mars and Libra aspect. So there can be we can love each other with knowing the details of each other's lives, and what we each like and what we don't like, and in a way that's healthy for all of us to um, to tend to what really matters. So I do want to say as well, of course, that we have the nodes in Aries and Libra, and so there's also this, and we've just moved out of a Venus retrograde cycle where we've been doing a lot of the work around partnership and relationship, and my sense is now we get a little bit more room to kind of breathe. Yes, Mars is in Libra, and also my feeling again is that there's this, if you look at what's bright in the sky, again, it's Venus and Jupiter. So these are both energies that invite us into the heart frequencies and bringing that heart medicine into the body. So I think it's about deep presence, presence in the heart. And then add Virgo and add Libra to that, and then there's precision. But I think I got a little tripped up here for a moment, because it's also super important that with that South Node in Libra, North Node in Aries, that we are working with the medicine of sovereignty. That's another word that's deeply imbued into the Virgo and the Libra, or the Leo mysteries, and it's a counterbalance to the codependent layers of South Node in Libra. So sovereignty, meaning that the way I've been feeling and seeing this so much for myself, because I'm in a place right now where for me it's much more about the path of cultivating sovereignty than it is for me to try to learn how to adjust or accommodate in order to meet other people's needs. This is just the zone of life I'm in right now. It's for me to really get to know, what do I like? What do I not like? What nourishes me? What feels like deprivation to me? So my place in life right now is to be self-responsible and to be exploring what works for me, what helps me become stronger and more sure-footed in the world. So that's more that sovereignty piece. And really at the core of it is when we really deeply we get that experience of I'm whole, I'm sovereign. Yes, I need and love relationship with others, but I don't require their approval of me necessarily in order to feel whole. I'm not, my attention and my energy isn't all out here. My energy and my attention first and foremost is centered and grounded in this being. And I think that in my experience, due to many astrological factors, and I think the culture that I grew up in, it often felt like there was a split. Either you are really you would become either the one who is really acclimated to everybody else and kind of being a bit of a people pleaser, and or you would kind of really split yourself off and completely separate and go off, and do your own thing. And so, for many of us who are born into that, it's this interesting dance of, how do I do both? So for me in this moment, a lot of it is actually, it's a lot more solitary time. But when I'm with other people, choosing presence with others from a very deliberate place, like, yes, I want to be with another person right now, or I just want to be with this tree, I just want to journal. I just want to focus on my work. I really want to deepen into the sacred work I'm here to do. But there does continue to be a lot of that medicine of inner reflection, of steady work towards our goals. Again, for me, I'm beginning this new Morning Star Venus course, and it's very exciting to me right now to wake up my inner scholar and to be designing this course. And, so also I find myself, I traveled across the country and I brought books, so many of my books with me. This is just what I do. So that more, inward Virgo and energy, but also the magic of the season. We're moving into fall, and there's just a deep richness and a magic we start to feel when we move into this zone. So what else is going on this month of September? We have as well the we also have September 11th. Again, Venus is still very strongly featured this month. I'll just give the Venus report. So, okay, Venus is really high in the sky, really beautiful, bright. She showed up around August 19th, beginning a new Leo cycle. It lasts about 19 and a half months. This cycle, this Leo Venus cycle, she's in her morning star phase, and she's gestation direct yesterday. And so now she is going to meet up. She's going to begin a process of meeting with the moon visibly in the morning sky about every month, a little waning crescent moon in the morning sky about every month, about 7 times over the next 8 months. And we, many of us now, as I started working with this 13 years ago. Many of us now work with the Sumerian story of the goddess Inanna. In her story, she goes to the underworld in this very powerful teaching myth, and it's an initiatory myth, a story. She goes through 7 gates. She chooses to go to the underworld, and she goes through 7 gates into the under or the other worlds. And when she goes through these gates, at each of the gates, as this great queen of heaven and earth, she's required to remove her crown, her adornments, her earrings, her necklace, her breastplate, all the way down to her royal robes. And at the 7th gate, she removes her royal robes. So in the story, the goddess, the queen, is required to let go of everything that basically all of the things she wears to show the world, to say, this is who I am. This is my stature in the larger society. Maybe you could say it's what she's carrying that's very heavy, that is more of a role, or it's more of something that's kind of, in a sense, almost even been put on her. So when she goes into the underworld, she goes through a process of a death and a rebirth. You could say this is the ultimate ego death, right? That when she's there in the underworld, she's humbled, she's laid low, she's naked. And so when you start to work with the Venus cycle in this way, you start to really notice when the Venus, oh, and it's just so beautiful if you haven't seen it, when you start to see Venus in the morning sky with the crescent moon, and each of those are the gates, like a little boat that Inanna goes down into the underworld through those gates. So she so the first gate is where she removes her crown. So September 11th in the morning, if you go out about an hour before sunrise to a place, look to the east. Ideally, you have a fairly good view to the east, and you can figure that out by watching the sunrise, seeing where the sun rises. And then you can see, oh, there's trees in the way. I need to go over here more, or maybe there's a park or somewhere I can go, somewhere I can park, where there's a clearer view to the east. But you can go and see the crescent moon and Venus together on Monday morning, September 11th, about an hour before sunrise. And that's the moment where the goddess removes her crown. So this is something we've learned, is something we're collectively experiencing. And so at the first crown chakra gate, what we're really letting go of, and to me, this feels so essential, we're letting go of the false connection to spiritual authority. So this could be all the places where we give our spiritual authority to others, whether that's, a mentor, a guru, some spiritual system. And a lot of this is deeply embedded. We don't even know the conditioning that we've received that's still running the show in the background. But the work that we can do beginning September 11th with the activation of the Leo crown chakra gate, because this is something we work with for a full month after that happens, is we can really get curious and become very intentional in our prayers and our spiritual work and our reflections to consider, what is my concept of God? What is my concept of source? What is my concept of prime deity? And whatever that spirit is to you, this is a word that is kind of universal, spirit. What is the quality of my relationship to spirit? And what do I do on the daily level to stay connected to that source of something bigger than myself? And again, you might call it your higher self. You might call it creator. You might call it spirit. You might call it goddess. You might call it prime source. There are many ways to describe this larger field of intelligence, the God that animates this reality. But the question is, what is your connection to that? What is your concept of that? What is your story about that? And what do you do to cultivate that connection. Now, if you think about it as your higher self, or the part of you that's larger than your small self, that's more refined, more expansive, wiser, and greater than the part of you that gets locked into patterns of fear or contraction and gets stuck there, then you, think about it like this: like, what is it that you do to stay connected to that source of that greater me, that me that is bigger than my immediate physical circumstance? And so when I say bigger, I mean I have access to wisdom, to insight, to a sense of connection to something bigger than my immediate 3D experience. Um, Now, there's paradox with this, because when we're talking about the feminine principle, what we're really talking about is, to what degree am I actually capable of bringing spirit down into the body? So, really, that might be a more refined question. What is it that keeps me from presence and consciousness with the spirit that lives in this material 3D reality? What is it that helps me open that channel? So I just went outside. Now, you can practice this. I'll go outside sometimes and see this tree. In the morning, I make offerings, I sing, or I open the directions with prayers. I'll go to the backyard. Sometimes there's another tree. It's a mulberry, it's a cottonwood. I just connect with trees. I know many of us do this because they are a channel to the heavens. They are a channel between earth and sky, and they're very good at it. They're much more mature than we are. So I'll go out sometimes and I'm not quite there. I'm just like, I've been on the computer too much, or I go outside and everything has just a low grade feeling of, oh, anxiety or dullness. But then if I'm using certain practices, or maybe it's just journaling, or maybe it's moving my body in certain ways, or just dropping in and saying, what's going on? Whatever it is that helps me be present, um, feel the spirit in my body in my moment, then when I go outside and I'm out on the earth under the tree with the tree, all of a sudden everything around me also feels more alive, feels friendly. I'm in a communion with it, right? So that's my feeling around the crown chakra gate. That gets activated, and it's going to be a month-long thing from September 11th on. Then we have the new moon in Virgo. Now I'll probably do a special, video on that coming up. But of course, the new moon is when you have the sun and the moon both in the sign of Virgo. And at that point, we're still going to have Mercury retrograde in Virgo. So we've got a lot of Virgo energy going on in this new moon. And it's, so again, such new moons are always such a beautiful time to set our intentions, to create some form of ceremony, to really look at the coming month and say, what would I like to experience? What is my deeper desire for how I would like to live into this coming month? So with Virgo, even more so, create a little ceremony around it. It might be very simple, but even now, set aside time for that. Set aside time for the sacred. Set aside time, even if it's the simplest thing where you say, I schedule from this time to this time, ideally within 8 hours of either side of the new moon, but it really can be within 3 days, basically. So you will set aside some time around the new moon to take half an hour, maybe an hour, to drop in, to go into a bit. You can even just do really simple deep breathing. You can light a candle, very simplest thing. Maybe use essential oils to go into a certain, energetic space. And then, have your journal and just begin to write about what you would like to experience, or just open up into your meditation and just say, you know, play out in your mind the events that are going to be happening over the coming month, and let that kind of set the frame. And then really ask, who do I want to be? How do I want to approach this coming a month and the events of the coming month with sovereignty? Virgo is sovereign, with deep presence. What are the specific things I want to create, and what do I want and need to tend to? And a good Virgo question is, what do I want my daily rhythm, my daily life to look like? How can I refine that? So that would be some good practices for the Virgo new moon. Now, again, September 16th, we've got Mercury stationing direct as morning star, and that's beginning, you could say, a 3-month um, 3-month Mercury cycle. And so that's when you begin to see it in the morning sky. And then the next day, or at the same day, we've got Venus squaring Jupiter. So again, we're feeling that energy of the goddess and the guru planet, or the very expansive planet that has to do with like higher states of spiritual awareness. They're going to be in a square. They're going to be, really creating this dynamic energy where we can expand, we can bring more beauty into the world, we can um, it can be an energy that really propels us forward toward a really beautiful life, towards our higher visions and goals, right? So that's something we can work with to, there's dynamic energy available to move towards our visions and goals. And then at the same time, or near that time, we have Sun opposite Neptune, September 19th. So, and that's something we would have been feeling for about a week on either side. So that's a very dreamy time. So again, look at these different energies all together, and also know Venus is at her brightest, her greatest brilliancy on the 19th. So the 19th is a really good time to be, and Mercury is direct. So it's a really good time to be planting, to really be looking at and feeling into, what is my higher vision? What's my higher dream for my life? And to be cultivating that vision, to become a vision carrier. That is one of the aspects of Leo Venus, is to be a vision carrier. What's my vision for my life, but also what's my vision for the world, and where do those places intersect? So it could be a really beautiful time to be in conversation with people who inspire you. Surround yourself with inspiration on all sides, and really dedicate yourself to cultivating an attitude of more expansion, of more positivity, of what's possible, instead of always getting caught in what we already know, that involves always these very tired repetitions of kind of suffering and pain, that create more of that. Instead, how do we move forward and create more beauty? How do we move forward and move towards what nourishes us instead of what deprives us? So, to be really taking responsibility for our frequency and our state of being. I think that's one of the themes with that. Okay. Then we've got the sun, the fall equinox is a really special, beautiful fall equinox, again, because Venus is at her brightest in the sky at the same time. And we also have Mars opposite Chiron at the fall equinox. So there's something, again, there's a lot going on with the masculine right now. There's healing that's needed. And I think that's literally for men, especially I see it with young men, but I see that in our society with many, many men. Our society has our modern society has created a lot of constriction and a lot of damage and harm to the masculine. And my sense is that we are going to be having more and more conversations about this. And with Mars in the beams of the sun from the end of September until mid-January, this is a question for us. How, as a culture, a society, can we bring out the best in our men? How can we honor the masculine inside men and women both? How can we begin to speak positively, good words, healthy words about how much we love the masculine in balance with the feminine? This is hugely important right now. How can we heal? How can we bring healing to the masculine? And part of how this is happening is women, as Venus is shining bright in the sky in her young phase of morning star, it's much fiery, more young. How is it that we as women are actively coming into a loving relationship with the masculine energies that live inside of us? That can be the way we talk about the masculine inside of us. It can be about the way that if we're much more dreamy, visionary, kind of flowy, then we begin to cultivate the skills to bring those dreams and visions into practical, tangible reality. That we dedicate ourselves to becoming whole in that way. Because when we don't, as women, then we're basically showing the men that we want them to keep holding that burden. And we're not willing to cultivate ourselves equally so that we can carry some of that it's not even weight for us. We've been wanting to carry more of our power, of our light, of our capacity to create in the world and be visible and speak with authenticity and truth. And that is another huge theme for the feminine right now, is to speak our truth, to be visible, to be seen, to be courageous enough to be authentic and honest about who we are. Okay. But yeah, so as we do that, if we do that in a way that also serves the whole, the greater good, then the men are waiting for us to do this so that they can actually take a break, so that they can do more of their own work. And they're already doing so much of that, but even more so. This is something that our world is needing. It's often set up as if to say that when women step into our full brilliancy and power, our leadership, it's often expressed as if we then take power from the men. But if we're authentically stepping into feminine leadership, which is naturally and innately in service to the whole, is in service to right relationship, then it actually serves the men. They're waiting for us. This has been coming through so strongly. Okay, so this is part of what we're working on. Now we have full moon in Aries, September 29th. And that's, beautiful full moon. It's the the next the next moon, the new moon after that is actually the eclipse. So then we'll move into the eclipse season, right? But this is the last full moon before that. And interestingly, this full moon brings us back to, I believe it was October 2014, when we had an eclipse in the same degrees. I believe it was that year. Some of you might be able to do some quick research on that to figure that out. But the full moon in Aries is, it's an opportunity to work with that polarity between me and you, right relationship between myself and you. And it's what we're working with the nodal axis. And it's really this question we're in right now, again, around sovereignty. Like, what does it mean for me to fully be in mastery of my own energy and of this masculine feminine energy inside of myself? What does it mean to be a true androgyne, which actually doesn't mean that you're just this amorphous blob that's not feminine masculine? It means originally, I am this vibrant, alive being because I have this very dynamic masculine energy and this very dynamic feminine energy that's harmonious inside of my system. So that's something that with the full moon in Aries, again, we're invited to play with those energies and to celebrate where we are learning to be who we are, and then also to welcome the medicine authentically of who this other individual is too, and to meet in a heart-centered way and in a very in a way that creates a complementary energy of supporting each other and uplifting each other and helping each other become greater and to become better, and creating strong bonds of love and of affection between each other. All right, and then we've got the same day, actually, that's when Venus is squaring Uranus. So that full moon as well is going to be shaken. It's going to be shaking us at the core. It's shaking us at the root. Again, in terms of my sense is what does it take to, with Venus in Leo and Uranus in Taurus, just like Jupiter, what's it going to take to shake us up out of our old patterns that keep us dissociated from our bodies and that keep us out of our hearts? What's it going to take at that full moon? And it's a full moon in Aries. So what's it going to take for me to let go of my patterns, my habits, my addictions, so I can be me, I can be present, I can show up fully in my heart, fully in my body. All right. And then we've got September 30th, Mars entering the underworld, where we all collectively can, I had a partner, a beloved being who, when I was during 2020, had a very difficult time and I needed time to myself. And so I left for a couple of weeks, and he made a fire for me every night that I was gone. It was the most beautiful thing. And my sense is that that's what we women actually can do for the men in this period, and that we can do for our male ancestors. When I say all of this, I don't mean to diminish people who are non-binary. So, it can be for those as well who are non-binary, um, and for the masculine aspect of them, and for the masculine aspect in women that has been harmed, that has been out of balance. So we can work with fire to honor the masculine heart, and just imagine a world where men are honored and reverenced for their tenderness, for their relational capacities, for all the ways that they are so centered in their hearts, to honor our male ancestors, and the to see men as good, innately good, just as we can learn to see humans as innately good. That would be my prayer. So that, I feel, is complete, and hopefully, ideally, in this time, this has been it's been you all can hear me. I had to just go on and do this. This is the time I had to do it. So I'm sending you so much love, and happy Venus Jupiter direct retrograde, and have a beautiful, beautiful month.